So we're gonna do a little bit of review today, and we're gonna do some multiplication. We're gonna do some division. Just a reminder that a week from today, you will be having your formative in here, and then 2 weeks from yesterday, you will have your test in here, and then 3 weeks from yesterday, and 3 weeks from today, you will be taking your NTC final. Okay?
Multiple choice and free response, right?
Straight free response.
Oh,
Yep. Yep. 10 questions one day, 11 questions the next day.
I thought we were supposed to do half of it. Did we do half of it?
No, you did a third of it
Oh.
it's in here, right?
in here.
Will we have a final exam too then?
Yes. Okay. All right. So, as just a quick warm-up, let's convert these two into trig form. I'll do the first one with you together, and then I'll have you guys do the second one on your own. Okay? So just a quick refresher from yesterday of what we're doing here. So we first need to find our R value, and our R value once again was a squared plus b squared, and then we take the square root of that sum. So this would be 3 squared plus 4 squared, and then so that's going to be 9 plus 16, which is 25. So the square root of 25 is 5. So my R value for this one is 5. Then I need to figure out my theta. So in this case, I'm in quadrant number 1 on the complex plane. So my reference angle is my actual theta. So then that would just be the inverse tangent of 4/3, which I believe is 53.130 degrees, if I am not mistaken. Yes? Yeah? Okay. All right. So the trig form of this z sub 1 would be 5 CIS 53.130 degrees. Because today we get to use the shortcut. And if you choose to write out 5 times open parentheses cosine of 53.130 degrees plus I sine of 53.130 degrees, that's on you. Okay? But now the shortcut is eligible for you to use. Okay? Questions on that? Please, at this time then, find me the trig form of z sub 2. I get z sub 2 is 13 CIS 292.620 degrees. Do we concur with that? Speak now or forever hold your peace. All good. Okay. So let's talk about multiplication with complex numbers. Okay. So we've got z sub 1, same z sub 1 that we just had before. We got z sub 2, same z sub 2 that we just had before. That makes it nice because we already just found their trig forms. You'll see that here momentarily. Okay, all right. So if I want to find z sub 1 times z sub 2 in standard form, what would we do? You've actually done this before. What would we do? What do you got? Multiply. So this would be like 3 plus 4i times 5 minus 12i. Right? Like that? And then Seamus?
Could you also multiply the trig forms, or is that more?
We're gonna get there. We're gonna get there. It's right down here. We just haven't scrolled down that far yet. But yeah, we'll get there. Yep, we'll get there. Okay? So what do we got when we multiply those out? 3 times 5 is 15. 3 times negative 12i is negative 36i. 4i times 5 is 20i. And 4i times negative 12i is negative 48i squared. Yes? Yeah? But then that becomes, what does negative 48i squared really become? Plus 48. Okay? So here this would be z sub 1 times z sub 2 would be 15 plus 48 is 63. Negative 36i plus 20i is negative 16i. Okay? So we would get that for a standard form of this. All agree? Okay? Like it? Let's look at that one in terms of, let's put that product into trig form, if you will. Okay? So I want to put that product into trig form. Okay? So first I've got to find my r, right? Excuse me. So 63 squared plus negative 16 squared. Ooh, 63 squared is a big number. Anybody? 63 squared?
3,969.
3,969. 16 squared is 256. 41, 42, 1, 42, 2, 5. Is that right? 5 carry the 1. 11, so that's 12 carry the 1. 11, that's 12 carry the 1. 42, 5, yeah, okay. What's the square root of 4,225? 65. Okay, so R is 65. Nice, easy, works out well for us. Love it. Okay, then we got to come up with our theta prime. Inverse tangent of that's going to be 16 over 63. What do we got for a reference angle there then? 14.250. Okay. Which quadrant are we in with that one?
4.
Quadrant 4. So then that means theta is going to be 360 minus our reference angle. So that's going to be 345.750 degrees. Do we agree with that? Yeah? Yeah? Okay. So the trig form of the product is going to be 65 CIS 345.750 degrees. Do we agree with that? Yeah? Okay. So now let's take a peek here and let's see if we can actually see a pattern. Okay? So I'm going to fill up this space over here with some stuff. Okay? So the first one that I'm going to fill this up with was Z sub 1 was 3 plus 4i. Z sub 2 was 5 minus 12i. And the product was 63 minus 16i. Yes? Does anybody see a pattern in the blue numbers? Three plus 5 is not 63. 4 plus negative 12 is not negative 16. It's okay not to see a pattern. Do you see one? I don't. I personally don't. Okay? So then let's go here in red now, and let's go with trig form. Z sub 1, we said was 5 CIS of 53.13. We said Z sub 2 was 13 CIS of 292.620 degrees. And then we said the product, Z sub 1 times Z sub 2, was 65 CIS 345.750 degrees. Red now. Do we see a pattern? What do you got, Grant? The angles add together. 53.13 plus 292.62 is 345.75. Yes? Confirm? Okay. It is. And then what? And then the r's multiply. Okay. All right. So let me see if it's on this next one. Yeah. Okay. All right. So with that being said, given two complex numbers in trig form, okay, if we're multiplying them, we first multiply the r values. Then we add the theta, the directions, the theta values. Okay. Or in shorthand form, So trig form makes it nice to multiply. Makes it quick to multiply. Okay? Now, the kicker here is that this angle here, here, and here, I mean, they're all the same angle, okay? But that angle there must be a first lap angle. Meaning it's gotta be between 0 and 2 pi if you're in radians, or 0 and 360 if you're in degrees. What if it's not? What if it's 453 degrees? How do I make 453 degrees be a first lap angle? Subtract 360. What if it's negative 123 degrees? Add 360. Okay? So you might have to add or subtract 360 degrees and or 2 pi, depending on which one you're in. Okay? Let's do it. We're still in Z1 and Z2. Okay? So now we want to divide. Okay? So this would be 3 plus 4i divided by 5 minus 12i. Do I like that fraction as it's written? No, because it's got an I downstairs, right? So what am I going to multiply by to get rid of the I in the basement? Over 5 plus 12i? Right? Okay. So on top here, then we get, what would that be? 15 plus 36i plus 20i plus 48i squared all over 25 plus 60i minus 60i minus 144i squared. Okay? What does 48i squared become? Negative 48. What does negative 144i squared become? Positive 144. So the top simplifies to be negative 33. Plus 56i. The bottom simplifies to be 169. Okay. or because we need A's and B's here coming up, or this would be negative 33 over 169 plus 56 over 169i. Right? Okay. So now let's convert that into trig form. So my R is going to be negative 33 over 169 squared plus 56 over 169 squared, and I take the square root of that. Over 28561 plus 3136 over 28561. 4225 over 28561. Square root of the top. Square root of the top was 65, wasn't it? Square root of the bottom is 169. Yes? Do I like the fraction 65 over 169? Answer is always no, because what can they both be divided by? 13. Yep. No, well, not really. So R here is 5 over 13. Yes? Okay. Theta prime here is going to be the inverse tangent of 33 over 169 divided by, no, correction, wrong way, 56 over 169 divided by 33 over 169. Keep change flip means that that's really going to be the inverse tangent of 56 over 33. 56 divided by 33. We got to clear that out a little bit. Inverse tangent 56 divided 33 gets me, I get 59.490. Which quadrant is this one in? 2, right? Okay. So that means actual theta here is going to be 180 degrees minus my reference angle. So I get actual theta here as 120.510 degrees. Yes? So that gives me z sub 1 divided by z sub 2 would be 5 over 13 CIS 120.510. Yes? Can I save us some time and say that we're not going to look at the standard forms and see a pattern? Okay, so let's look at the trig forms again, and let's see if we can see a pattern. So the trig form of z sub 1, once again, was, I think I went in red with this, z sub 1 was 5 CIS 53.13, oops, bad 0. Z sub 2 would be 13 CIS 292.620, and now the quotient z sub 2 divided by, or z sub 1 divided by z sub 2 is 5 over 13 CIS 120.510 degrees. Do we see a pattern? What do we see? So R divided by R in that specific order of what your fraction is? Yeah? Okay. All right, so we see that one. What about angles? What do you mean subtract them? Now, if we think about it, okay, multiplication and division are inverse operations, right? So on the multiplication, we multiplied the R values. Here in division, we're dividing the R values. Okay? In multiplication, we added the thetas. Here in division, we're subtracting the thetas. Yep. Okay? So here in this one now, it would be R sub 1 divided by R sub 2. And then we would have theta sub 1 minus theta sub 2. Or in shorthand, it would be that. And again, that angle needs to be a first lap angle. So the potential is there here to have negative angles. Okay? So here it's more adding. In multiplication, it's more subtracting of the 360. Okay? Questions, comments, concerns, clarifications on any of those? Let's jump into one here. So now we're changing up our z sub 1 and our z sub 2. Okay? So now it is 6 CIS 210 degrees and 3 CIS 60 degrees for our new complex numbers. Okay? We are asked here, the task that we have in this particular one is to find z sub 1 times z sub 2. Well, as we said before, that z sub 1 times z sub 2, that's going to be, we multiply the R values, and we add the theta values. So in this particular case, this would be 6 times 3 and this would be 210 plus 60. Six times 3 is 18. 210 plus 60 is 270. That gives you the trig form of it. Now, to come up with the standard form, I have to take 18 CIS of 270 degrees, and I have to make that be 18 times the cosine of 270 degrees plus I sine of 270 degrees. What is the cosine at 270 degrees? 0. What is the sine at 270 degrees? -1. So then this would be minus 18i. Trig form, 18 CIS of 270. Standard form, rectangular form, 0 minus 18i. Okay. Let's try this one. Now we're dividing the two complex numbers. So what we had just learned was that z sub 1 divided by z sub 2, that's going to be r value r sub 1 divided by r sub 2. CIS of our first theta minus our second theta. So in this particular case, same z values as the last example. So this would be 6 divided by 3. And 210 minus 60. Six divided by 3 is 2. 210 minus 60 is 150. There would be my trig form. So this would be 2 CIS of 150 degrees. That would be 2 times the cosine at 150 degrees plus I sine of 150 degrees. What is the cosine at 150 degrees? Negative root 3 over 2. What is the sine at 150 degrees? 1/2. So 2 times negative root 3 over 2 is going to be just negative square root of 3. 2 times 1/2 is going to be 1. So that's going to be plus I. Questions, comments, concerns, clarifications? I'd even come up with a haiku for you. Good? Alrighty. I want you, given those two, to find me the product in trig and standard form and the quotient in trig and standard form. Go for it. That's 16 plus 48. So I get here that z sub 1 is 8 CIS of 120 degrees. Yes? Okay. I get z sub 2 is 2 CIS of 60 degrees. Yes? Okay. So multiplying them together, we would have here then 8 times 2 CIS of 120 plus 60. So the trig form here I get is 16 CIS of 180 degrees. Yes? Okay. Which is that cosine at 180 degrees is -1. So this is -16. Sine at 180 degrees is 0. So that is plus 0i. Agree with that. Okay. Z sub 1 divided by Z sub 2. That's going to be 8 divided by 2. CIS of 120 minus 60. So that's going to be 8 divided by 2 is 4. CIS of 60 degrees. Yes? Which then in standard form is going to be cosine at 60 degrees is 1/2. Sine at 60 degrees is square root 3 over 2. 4 times 1/2 is 2. 4 times the square root of 3 divided by 2 times I is 2I square roots of 3. Agree with that? Yes? Okay. one more to do on the same ones. Now, instead of doing z sub 1 divided by z sub 2, let's quickly do z sub 2 divided by z sub 1. So now we would have 2 divided by 8, and we would have CIS of 60 minus 120. Two divided by 8 is 1/4. $60 minus 120 is negative 60 degrees. Do I like negative 60 degrees? No. Instead, what do I like? 300. So CIS of 300 degrees there. So then this is going to be 1/4 times the cosine of 300. Cosine at 300 is 1/2. Sine at 300 is negative root 3 over 2. So then this would be 1/4 times 1/2 is 1/8. One-fourth times negative root 3 over 2 is going to be negative root 3 over 8. I would also accept here 1 minus, oops, I forgot the I. 1 minus I square roots of 3 all over 8. Okay? Now, again, I strongly encourage you, especially because this unit isn't that, it's not that long of a unit. We're talking week and a half, maybe 2 weeks at most. You can now do numbers 9 through 16. So that's the first 2 pages. Actually, I think that's even more than the first 2 pages, isn't it? Because the first page is 1 through 8. 16 gets you through the first 3 sides. Okay? I would strongly encourage you to work on doing those 3 sides sooner rather than later.